This is Richard back at you guys. We did our earlier video on the Travis's Dodge parts list and stuff that we physically put in one of these to make these survive. Well, like I said, Travis brought all of his billet parts and stuff, so it made it so much simpler and to be able to get this done. So, but now we got the tranny. Let's get this thing tore down. It's an '06 Dodge, 5.9 diesel, 4-wheel drive. And it has no park. Now you can see here what a stock torque converter looks like. They're ugly. I mean, they got these big old lugs on here. Now we have our billet converter. I forgot to bring it in here. That physically has a solid backing right here with no lugs that stick out. These lugs are bad about breaking off under high torque applications, and then you have a front seal leak when you think it's a seal when it's actually cracked around the lug. So I don't think we put a stock converter in. How long? I can't remember. I don't even have one on the premises as far as I know, but we just don't use them. Now, the fluid you can see is pretty dark. There's no discoloring on the back of the converter where the converter clutch has been slipping that I can see, but it definitely looks like a stock converter. No park, that's going to be a little bit different there to see what he's got going on there. I like to come in here and just give them things just a little bit of rattle. That way I don't break my Torx bit off trying to get them out. If I'd have just hit that, I probably could have broke my Torx bit.
Play whack-a-mole.
That's why we whack it just a little bit. It's a chamfered style bolt. They get a little rust on them. Boy, you can see the rust on the threads down in there from the moisture getting down in there. So now he said no park. Well, it goes in the park. Now, he can't get it out of park. That's what it's doing. It's trying to lock in park probably too. Well, the repair kits that we put in these will take care of all the parking issues. And then when we buff the parking rooster cone a little bit to take that little top piece off, I'll show you. It'll make it totally different. And we're going to get our overdrive section off here. We have been busy at the shop, guys. Teresa's been busy in the office. Sometimes we just don't see each other all day. I think we just walk by and wave, unless we're sitting down eating lunch, huh, Teresa?
And normally I've got the phone to my ear
even when she's doing that. Now your output speed sensor will always come in with trash on it, like that. But if you have a Dodge, you do a transmission service or something like that on your pan, take this out real quick and clean it. That way you know you ain't getting no erratic signals or anything like that. Just take a rag, wipe it off, clean it up, put it back together. You'll have some fluid come out of here a little bit, but that way you don't see any type of erratic signals on your speedometer, and you don't know that. And sometimes you can get erratic signals affect the tranny but not set a code. So that's a good reason why you want to take and clean that off there. And we'll get our little wire ring off here. Now this basically is just for an assembly. When you put it all together, it keeps your overdrive clutches in. Let's see here. They were still there and working. Just getting old. This thing has 122,553 miles on the vehicle. Not that many. Now we're going to get our wavy snap ring out of here. You notice how they have the end of it right here stuck in the cavity? See that? Mm. You don't want to do that because this snap ring will break off right here and fall down in here and won't have park. That's what I was thinking I was going to find. Something laying down in there, snap ring broke. You always want to take these snap rings, see here and here? You want to take that end of it and put it under that right there. Come in here and put the other end of it right like that. That's the way the ends are under. Leave this in this open piece like that. Same way with the other snap ring down in here. There's two of them down in here. One's a flat one. Now if you notice they got this one plumb over here. That one there will work there. This one over here in the gap like that, that's a no-no. You don't want to put your gaps together neither. You want to try to move them apart like that. Your solid first, your wavy second. Now also, you want to make sure that you put your thick one down first and then end up with your thin on top. If you put a thin down here, this thin one, when the clutch, this piston comes on, it's just going to bend this plate all around this snap ring. It's going to shove it into this drum right here. So you always want to make sure your thick one goes first. Believe me, I've seen them come in that way, guys. So everything I'm telling you, I've seen come in. So now we'll get our overdrive snap ring right here. Now a lot of times, this groove right down in here, you can already see the wear, how that snap ring has been pushed back. That should be just a square groove right there, and you can see right there, it's moved back 30 thousandths. Now that's what that spacer is for that we're going to put in here. It's going to come in here and shove all that stuff back forward. See that snap ring go farther back in there like that? Mm-hmm. Well, this piece right here is going to set down in there, and it's going to keep everything pushed forward. I mean, everything in the tranny is going to go forward. So. Well, we weren't leaking around here looking for any cracks or anything. That's good there. So we know the housing's in good shape. We'll look at your parking things here, make sure nothing's messed up down in here. But like I said, he was having parking issues. I was hoping I found a piece of snap ring down in there. That'd be nice. I will take this overdrive piece apart here in just a minute. I promised everybody I would. I missed it on my last video. I don't want to miss it on this one, so I'll go ahead and kind of get prepared for it real quick. Yeah, let me turn this fan off real quick. There we go. But we'll go ahead and get this apart, Teresa. Just don't let me forget that, okay? Everybody's been wanting to see that. I believe that's a half. I didn't get my half-inch wrench needed. Well, I'm slacking today, guys. Slacker. But you can see here, everything is still moving. It just gets locked in parks. It don't want to come out. Okay. So we'll get in here and repair that definitely. And I'll show you how we do it. Trent and Cody always puts these little plugs in these cooler lines before they pull the tranny out. That way they don't make a mess out there on the floor.
It always leaks.
And it always leaks anyway, yeah. We have our band adjustment nut and strut right here. Take the our nut. And we have our piece that goes inside that hooks to the band. I'm slacking more, guys. I'm sorry. Thought I was prepared. We have our overdrive piston here. It's called an overdrive direct piston. It applies your overdrive clutch and releases your direct clutch. This is a selective spacer here that sets your clearances for those two clutches. And then also here on this output shaft right here, this intermediate shaft, this is a selective spacer here. Now since we're doing a billet input shaft and changing all these shafts up, we are going to be messing with all that type of stuff to get this thing perfect. So probably ups the build an hour or so longer to do that. We have our gold looking bolts. We have our neutral safety switch. Little bitty bolts. You gotta be careful tightening them down. You'll strip them real easy.
This looks like this has been leaking for a while.
Yes, it's everywhere, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But not out the back. It's just like it's been around the pan gasket more. It's really not much oil. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, Trent did a video on the rear main seal that's coming up. That is probably one of the worst rear main seals we've seen, as dirty as it is.
Yeah.
It's really bad. You'd think it'd be oil everywhere as bad as that rear main seal was. Now we are putting a ATS fan, so get rid of this old thing. That's a pretty one though. That is really pretty. You don't see them like that too often.
Smell.
But what's good is he got it in before he destroyed it, did anything to it. You know, he felt things, I believe. He knew something was going on.
Weak.
Just weak. Park. You can see the filter's still clean. Got a little bit of trash starting to come around. That gray is what gets us. That gray. You service them, that gray comes off a lot of times, and then that's what starts making your tranny shift funny and all that type of stuff. Because that's actually a fine metal. We have all of our 7/16 bolts. Now the ones that go over your governor cover and stuff here are longer than all of them, and then you have some here that's a little bit longer, and then you have your short ones here. So, but the ones that go here are longer than the ones that go here. Very simple. Now here we have our band struts. You can see how thin this one is compared to the one in our other video. The parts that he brought us is a lot thicker, totally a lot heavier too. And then of course we have our stock intermediate servo single rings. We got beautiful dual ring servo going in it. So that's what I'm saying, guys. Go to our first video on the parts we're putting in here. That way you can see what type of transmission this guy's getting. If we knock our shifter seal out. We have our reverse band here. We have our intermediate band here. Well, when you got a date on something like this, you know that somebody's been in it. Because they didn't stick a pen up here and sign that or put them on there. So the main thing too, guys, is always change your washers on your bolts, double seal your pump bolts here. Especially down through here, you can see your pressure channels going through your pump and your case area. So especially through here too. There's no pressure through here, but we seal them anyway. And then you have your vent circuit here. So now we have a sealing ring here on the end of the stator right here in the middle of the stator. They put this ring here for converter drain bracket issues that Chrysler has to stop it from happening. If this vehicle's set for a couple weeks or a week or so, it might not move when you first put it into gear. So that's why they put that in there. It goes inside the converter hub and keeps the converter from draining back through the pump. Now these things, anytime you rebuild them, bushings. Especially in this stator area here, this bushing right here. If this bushing gets quite a bit of wear, and it don't take much, your converter will drain back here too and put it back in the pan. Looks good. Just a little bit of bluing missing. Now our shift kit will come with 2 high pressure rings here. Of course, we have brand new pump gears over here for it. You'll see usually wear on these here, right through here. And right through here where it ties to cock the gear a little bit on the end of the pump, or on the end of the converter. If you notice how we have a chamfer here, and we have a blunt end here. You would think, truthfully, the chamfer would go down, but truthfully, it goes like this. You can put it either way, but truthfully, they're using that oil right here to keep on this gear to keep oil on this bushing better. Is why they're doing that. So, of course, we have a dimpled bushing, golf ball bushing. Starting to get really wore through here. Not much left for the dimples. It's getting pretty thin. So, but always stake them in. We've had them come in. I mean, if it wasn't staked, it would already went and touched the seal. Say the pump, it's been into before for a pump. We know that for a fact right there. Of course, we have our intermediate band here. Now, this is just like a factory-style Dodge band. There's not much surface area to grab a hold of compared to the 3-speed 727 band we're going to be putting back in there. Now, we do have a high gear drum here. It's a high groove drum. The snap ring grooves all the way to the top. We do have a wavy snap ring. I'll look and see if this has tow haul. If it has tow haul, we won't be modifying the overdrive part of it and leaving the wavy snap ring out, but the third gear here, we will be putting back a solid snap ring here. Of course, we have a 5-clutch drum, and you can see that 5th clutch is about gone in the steels. Probably warped too, I bet you. I bet that steel. Oh yeah, look at it.
Oh yeah, look at it.
Yeah, how warped that steel is. That's crazy, huh? That. Then you get these here. I mean, you gotta check them all. Okay, that one's bent too. Okay, this plate here is not bent, so it's gonna be these. So. Now we are putting his drum in here. Getting rid of this drum. And we'll look and see. I'm not for sure how many clutches we'll get in that drum, but we're gonna stack as many as I can get in there. If I can get 6 or 7, I'll be happy. So. And then we have our forward drum here. We have another selective washer here. Come on, get out of there. There we go. See how thin that one is? We said that makes selective here too, where you can move this thing around, take up space. Or take up clearances, I want to call it. Now your shift kit's going to come with a high pressure ring here. Your overhaul kit's going to come with rings for these two here, and they're okay to use. They're a hard Teflon style ring. Get it off there. And actually they're I just broke it, but they're actually a locking style ring too. They kind of lock onto each other. Let me get that other one off there without breaking it. There we go. Oops. And see how that locks together. You'll get some kits too. They won't be. They'll just be blunt cut. I like these a lot better. Now we're going to be putting a billet forward drum in here, so we'll be getting rid of this drum. We have our forward clutches. Then we're going to have a wavy snap ring down here that's going to hold your bevel plate and your plastic washer in. And here's your forward clutch piston. So that's underneath of it. Now this is the drum we're going to be replacing. Now you can see this drum here is a 2-piece. The shaft's physically been pressed into this hub here, where the billet drum that we got over here is a 1-piece drum. It is not machined. It's solid. Pretty crazy what we can make these days with CNC machines. Now all this stuff here we'll be using back. We'll put new seals, clean this stuff up. We won't be using this shaft back like that. We won't be using this intermediate shaft down in here either. Now we also have a selective 3-tab washer here. They make 3 different ones: thick, medium, and thin. Or thin, medium, and thick. So you can move it around that way too. have our intermediate shaft. Now we'll be using this selective spacer right here to start out with, put it all together and start checking our clearances and move it around from there. So that'll be disappeared too. And we have our lower ring gear for our 6-pinion steel planets. Now you can see these washers really taking abuse. It's amazing that these washers, brass and a little bit of oil, how it will be slimy and slide. Because you look at the back of this washer, look how hard it's been pushing on it, trying to shove that washer through that Planetary. You can see it here on this washer here too. This is your first gear washer. In other words, this washer takes all the load of it taken off from a red light, and then when it goes to second gear, it transfers the load over to this washer here. So you can see here how hard it's been pushed on that washer too. Of course, you have a stock washer. You want to check all your rollers, because these things are getting really hard to come by, guys, and you're going to pay the price when you get it. Now in your sun gear here, we replace every one of these. I mean, it's hard to see because it's kind of dirty, but you get so much wear down on these teeth here on both sides. And this one here is the same way. And it's a one-piece gear. You just make sure you got to have the right width groove, because it's the groove is the thickness of this shell here. So you can put a snap ring here, and plus your washer has to go in there too. So, but they do make two different thickness gears right there. This washer here, you just don't have to replace them. I don't even think they touch anything. They just set in there and look pretty. And I never see any wear there. Now we see wear here on this washer a lot. You can see here really hard print on the back of it too. So that's on this Planetary. So check all your pins for wobbling the same way. Really pretty parts here. And then we're going to get down in here and look at the reverse drum and case support. See what type of wear we have down in here. We'll replace every one of the case supports. Now the drum, which this drum's got wear, so we'll replace it, but a lot of times the drum comes in with zero amount of wear. But you can see here, we got wear here, we got wear down in here. Now if it wasn't no wear here and no wear here on the inner sprag race, you could Scotch-Brite this inner sprag race up, Scotch-Brite this up, 180 grit where your reverse band runs, and put that thing back in there. And we have our reverse band here. Starting to see a little fuzziness going on. Starting to see the wear appear. These are big bands, guys. Big bands. And then we have our lower sprag assembly, roller clutch assembly. We have our pin for our reverse band. Sets in the case, sets on here like that. And we have our case support. Now you can see these will always wear more on one side than the other, and it's always towards the pressure side. That's why they put that there, I guess, to really load a lot of oil here. On this side it kind of goes away, so it depends, I guess, how it sets in there. The weight of the drum setting down on it, or however it goes. Now we're going to get this valve body apart really quick and look at some things. I know Teresa wants me to squeegee that oil so she don't get splashed. Get some of it out of the way real quick. She's got her Pretty Summit racing equipment shirt on this morning. We went to Dallas over the weekend and went drag racing with our grandbaby and our junior dragster.
XRP.
Yep, the XRP. Now, if you look here, guys, you can see, okay, you can see this detent ball right here. I'm going to pull this out. That moves in and out when I move this rooster cone. See that ball?
Okay.
Well, see how that ball moves side to side right there? So that board is starting to get wore out. Now, that's not causing it to lock and park, though. I'll show you what's causing it to lock and park. Now, we do put a bullet in there and get rid of that ball and spring. We get rid of that. And then we put our, I clean all these parts, guys, believe me. So we put this in here. That way it uses the whole area to work. So pretty simple. But where our problem is to getting this thing out of park. Let me take this off too. Put this right there, excuse me, Teresa. Okay. What we have is this ramp right here. If you notice, it ramps up and tries to come back a little bit. And it gets hung right here, and it will not come over that right there. Next thing you know, you start breaking your shifter cable and you're jerking it out of park, and next thing you know, you kick it with your foot. But if you take and buff just a little tip of this off right here, that thing will come out of park like just with very little effort. It just gets hung right here. So that's all it takes to fix that. And then here's your plastic piece I was showing you in our earlier video for your neutral safety switch we replaced too. So pretty simple. And we have our manual valve that we'll be putting it in it. That's a Sonex. That was already unlocked. I don't think I unlocked that. That was stuck on there good. Now your shift kit will come with a plate that goes under this gasket. Well, that's on there good. Trannies could have been running pretty hot. That's the way the fluid looks and stuff. The band looks a little burnt. Other than that, we didn't really see any damage except your intermediate band. But it's been running hot. Like I say, your Transgo kit will come with a metal plate here that goes on like that. It restricts your sensor a little bit to keep us from blowing it. And then we get our solenoid pack off here. I don't think there's any fluid in the connector. I can't remember. Could have been. I don't remember. I'd have to go look at the connector outside at the truck just to verify it too. But anyway, we replace all them. It doesn't matter. But if you're at home and you want to try it and you don't have no fluid in the connector, you're more than welcome to use it. A lot of times we get the Overdrive accumulator spring in here broke. This one's still in good shape. But your Transgo shift kit's going to come with 3 springs, and they're going to be doing some modifications to this housing right there. This tranny here don't smell bad at all, huh?
No.
The customer actually talked to Teresa yesterday on that tranny we did with additive in it. And he said, boy, you guys picked that up real quick. Yeah, we did. Instantly. And this is your overdrive and your lockup system here. Your overdrive valve, your lockup valve. We want to just clean this really good. Like I say, your Transgo kit's going to come up with some information you're going to be modifying here. Main thing is these 3 holes too. Make sure they're definitely cleaned out really good. You don't have to pull the valves out of this to get them to clean that valve body really good. So main thing is a lot of air pressure and good clean solvent. And we have our valve body plate here. They make different ones of these that have this check ball. They make a 48 RE, 47. So they make different ones of these if you have to replace that plate for any reason. And we have our little bitty check ball here. Of course, we have our factory plate. Now, this plate here, this here is your second gear feed for your band, and this here is your third gear feed for your direct clutch. You notice how this hole's big, this in here's small? It's because they're physically restricting, controlling your fluid right through this hole. So if you left this one alone and drilled this one bigger, you're going to firm up third gear. Your shift kit's going to come, the holes are going to be this size on both sides, and you're going to have to drill it to your size, how you want your training to shift feel and stuff like that. Now they do give you a number to drill it out first, but I always go just a little bit bigger. Now this is a 48 RE tranny. You can identify it by this hole right here, by this filter. That hole right there? That's how you identify it.
So if it was the 47, would it have that hole right there?
No, it will not have that hole. And the ring on the stator gives it away a little bit too, but still, sometimes you can see them without that stator, somebody been in it before, stuff like that. Now a lot of times we see a lot of damage here. Now especially if you have a metal check ball. Now since he's got the plastic balls or neoprene balls, we can call these in here, a lot of them come with metal. So that's pretty much why they give you the plate, because of the damage, so much damage done to the plate. Now I have noticed, guys, let me tell you something. If you're doing a shift kit on this tranny, now you notice this one here is a 47. It doesn't have a hole right here beside this. When you put this plate on, you want to Scotch-Brite this side, and you definitely want to Scotch-Brite this side. This side here is so rough where they pressed it out. When you go over and Scotch-Brite it, you'll be Scotch-Brite, and it's real loud. Next thing you know, it gets real quiet because you just cleaned up all the burrs off here. Next thing you know, you can't even hear that Scotch-Brite running across here. And now it won't cross-leak. So if you don't do that, I see cross-leak issues sometimes possibly. So I just quit putting them on factory. I just Scotch-Brite everything, clean them up, put them in there. Scotch-Brite's your friend. Same way here, you want to flat file all this stuff here. Even if it's never been apart from the factory, you don't know how Joey put it back together. You know what I mean? So we Scotch-Brite everything, flat file everything. When we get in our valve body here, you see how we have all of our check balls. Now we have one just a little bit bigger that goes in the bigger trough. You get over here to your 4-land switching valve. Now since we're putting a triple disc torque converter in this, we're not going to do any modifications to the lock-up system on this. We're just going to put a new switching valve in it and be done. The new switching valves from Sonex come with a really good land right here. The Transgo kit wants you to put a little chamfer right here, but we don't do it on the new Sonex valves. Now also, if you notice, this valve here is terrible in color. The coating's almost gone off of it. If you look at the new one, pretty brand new. You can see the chamfer better right here too on this one. See how the valve's been chamfered a little bit right there compared to this one. Updated valve, stock valve. That's why they want you to grind on the stock valve. So you can see here too where it's beat the end of it out against this plate right here where it beats on that. Now there is a spring, but when this valve cycles back and forth, it has to stop somewhere, and it's been beaten on that right there. So pretty simple. Now we are also, since we're not doing any lockup modifications, we're not going to be drilling a hole all the way through this land here to firm up lockup or anything like that, since we're running a triple disc converter. If you're running a single billet, something like that, you definitely want to drill a hole through there, or if not even two. Your instructions will tell you. Now we're also going to be replacing the PR valve with the Sonex one. I talked in my other videos how we modify the spring and stuff when we mix two shift kits together. When you get two shift kits together trying to help you do two things, you got Transgo and their lube circuit, you have Sonex and their lube circuit. So when you put two together, now you got a heck of a lube circuit, and we got to eliminate one of them. So what we do is we eliminate the Transgo lube circuit and switch it over to the Sonex only. And one of my videos I showed you guys how to do that. So when these trannies get really, really hot, pulling a big trailer one really hot day, you're capable probably could lose enough pressure to make the tranny slip going forward by doing that, by putting two lube valve or circuits in there, because it's lubing at idle. Now once you give it some gas and it jumps up there, then the pressure comes up to normal, the lube circuit goes away, and it uses the whole valve to lube the circuit. So that's why you always only want to use one lube circuit at idle. So remember that. Now depending on what kit you buy, you could get your shift kit will come with a new TV valve and new spring. This shank here is about almost the length of it. Gives it a lot more support. The spring's a lot shorter and just barely sets on the end of it, but the support, the valve being longer, gives it a lot more TV stability and stuff like that. TV rise pressure, stuff like that. So that's a must too, guys. I mean, it's just happening. So your Transgo kit will also come with a plate here. Just read your instructions on your Transgo kit. Everything will tell you what to do and stuff. They're not that hard to put in. So, okay, I'm gonna get over here really quick, and I'm gonna take this apart, and if I can find all my stuff really quick. I'm scattered. Okay. Okay, let me see here. I moved my little crescent. I'm sorry. Can you zoom in there, Tracy, and see what I'm doing? You have to excuse the mess, guys. I'm just going to kneel down. I'm going to take this spring out really quick.
I don't know which side to be on.
Probably right there is good. Everybody.
I don't know what's dangerous.
That's not too bad. I started doing it this way, and it just seems like it's been working a lot better for me. Usually I release the direct clutch first, the overdrive direct clutch, and then I set my system back up, and then I release the spring. But since I started doing it this way, it seems like it works a little better. I just put it over here to the side a little bit like that. We're going to take our wavy snap ring out of the drum first. Get that out of the way. A lot of times that snap ring's in about 5 pieces, so you have to dig it out of there. And then we're going to get our snap ring here out. Find the gap on it. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to release it really slow. The trick is slow. See how it tried to hang right there? Believe me, guys, I took one out the other day and released the jack, and that thing stayed on that ledge right there. There you go. And we have our stainless wire ring that physically sets in this groove here, and that's what locks all that spring together. And it sets on here like that. You can press that in the vise again, and you put that in there. Once you put it in there, you take it out, it's loaded. That's when it's terrifying. So you don't want to stand over it, because that wire ring is holding you alive, keeping you alive. That thing shears or anything like that would be terrible for you. So, now we are going to be replacing the overdrive sun gear and this bearing backing plate. You can see here, I believe, that the teeth are starting to get a lot of pitting and stuff in here. We replaced both of them. It's just a common problem we have. And then you want to look down in here for any scarring where it slides up and down here. Get that in there. Because these are really bad about burring in here, and it's even tough to put it together. So now here, being that the year this tranny is what year it is, On the Overdrive Direct, Chrysler changed the clutch up. They decided to go to what we call a Z-Pack looking style clutch. It's a single, or excuse me, I don't know where I seen that at. I was blind there for a minute. That light's so bright. But anyway, this isn't it. This is your standard clutch assembly. The earlier one that I did was that way. They had a Z-Pack in there where the clutches were single-sided. So, but these are your standard style clutches. I'm sorry.
Those look thin.
They're thin. I mean, they're really thin. They make so many different thicknesses of these through the years that you can really get in trouble on stacking that if somebody else has stacked it wrong and you come in here and try to straighten it up for them. You really got to know what you're doing.
Do they have different color springs? That one's green.
Not that I know of. I don't know why it's green. I don't know if you notice over here, I got 2 more springs over here that we're making trophies out of. Green.
Oh, and there's this. Yeah, they are. Aren't
They're
they?
green too, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're making trophies out of these, so. But yep, I don't think I've ever paid attention to that, Teresa. That's a good question.
Well, you know, somebody's going to ask about that.
Yep. Of course, we have our 6-pinion Overdrive Planet. I'm going to definitely look here for any wobbling, guys. This little jewel here takes a lot of load. And of course, you want to have your new Overdrive sun gear to go in there for it. Put your new backing plate on there and stuff. Then we get down in here. We have our lower sprag assembly. Now this is a dual roller clutch. It's got 2 rollers on it. And believe me guys, this thing will go in backwards. I'm telling you, you can put it in just like this. Watch this. Look at that. And it'll set right in and you can put that train together. Now the sprag's in backwards. Always remember, your spring pushes your roller uphill. Always remember that. If you do remember that, you'll always never put your sprag in backwards. So your spring pushes it uphill. Real easy to put that in backwards. I know it's happened. So, same way down in here, you got a couple bushings in here you need to replace. Assemble this. Look at your ring gear and stuff there. So, not too shabby, guys. But now you see why, you know, it takes so long to do build videos and stuff. For me to take all of this and put into this and physically be sane at the end of the day, it's hard, guys, let me tell you, because I mean, I stand back here all day long on this bench and do this type of stuff. So it's pretty tough. I mean, and it's just one after another, after another, after another. And the time it takes just to do the video, and we've got almost 2 hours in doing these videos right now, just in this one unit right here. So I hope you guys enjoy, because we really do enjoy doing what we're doing and letting the public see what it physically takes to build these and what it takes to push your vehicle down the road. So it's very interesting. Guys, we definitely want to thank you for watching. Teresa, I want to thank you for a video, and definitely, y'all don't forget to subscribe, because we ain't going nowhere. We have a lot of show to come. Y'all have a great day.